Good evening and welcome all you gurus. We've got a very special guest this evening, and this is a dear friend of mine who I've known here in Nanaimo. My goodness, it's been over 10 years now, if you can imagine that. And Danielea is in from out of town. She's been in China of all places. She's doing a project here in Nanaimo that I wanted to let as many people know about. I think this is just fascinating. So before I get too far ahead of myself, welcome, Danielea, to our program.
Thank you, Dr. Norm. It's really great to be here, and it's great to see you again.
Absolutely, for sure. And as we get started here and people join us, we want to remind everybody that this is a co-creative conversation. As much as it is between Danielea and myself, we are all part of a field, a collective field. So we want to hear from you. And so you can start off by just putting in your name and where you're tuning in from. This is going out around the world. It's pretty exciting. And we do have people tuning in from all places. So we'd love to hear. Throw in your name and where you're from. That will get us started. And Danielea, I'd like to know more about your journey. Well, I know some of it, but I know lots of other people don't know, your background. So before we get into your current projects, let's just hear a bit about your own genesis and evolution as an artist and as somebody who cares deeply about the environment. How did you get involved in all this?
Well, when I actually looked back at my childhood, I realized that the places that I always felt safe and that I would pretty much escape to were ones that related to water and, of course, nature. So there was a creek near where I lived with a willow tree and a creek and tadpoles. And then years later, there was a marsh. And so, nature has always been a place of refuge and a place of inspiration for me. So I have a background in healing. And when I completed that journey, I was asking myself, what am I really here for? And I had a series of operations on my hip. And while I was healing from those operations, I had some time to really reflect on, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? And so I asked myself two questions. What do I love above anything else and have always loved? Always, always, always loved all my life. And what is my particular gift? And so the answer to what have I always loved above anything else is Mother Earth, is nature. All of her creatures, but especially trees at that point. And then what is my particular skill? And through my theater work, I discovered that I have this ability to intuitively communicate without words, which is a great access when interacting with nature. So after I healed from my second total hip replacement, I was guided to begin listening with elder trees and forests. So from them, I learned how to sit still and slow down, and also how to communicate from my heart without words. And then that was all happening just in the final year that I was living here in Nanaimo. So that was in 2010. And then I was guided to go north. And I'd only had one hip surgery at that point. I didn't want to go too far away from my surgeon, who's here in Nanaimo. So I went to live in Prince George. And during that first winter, 2 winters later, the Enbridge pipeline issue was heating up in the north. And I have a history of activism, but it didn't feel sustainable for me, so I'd stopped it years ago. And by activism, I just meant that for me, fighting against something wasn't sustainable. It split me inside. I was for against something and against another. So I wanted to support water. I wanted to support nature in this issue. And so I was clearly guided to change my focus from trees and forests to water. And so not knowing what to do, but trusting the guidance, I took my first, what I call water pilgrimage. So in the summer of 2012, I went north by myself for 30 days in my car and drove up through northern BC, Yukon, and Alaska. And I told Spirit, guide me and I will obey. And I tell you, on that trip, I made more U-turns than I ever have in my life, because I'd be speeding by a water source, and then I would hear myself be called to stop and to come and sit and visit. And so I would do that. I would turn around and go back. And so I gradually started this practice of, when I meet a body of water, I sit with it quietly. And I bring my own focus down into my heart. I slow my breath, become really present in my heart. I think about how much I love and respect water and nature. And when that energy is really strong in my heart, I send it out to the water I'm sitting with. Mm-hmm. And most interesting and most honoring of all is that every time I do that, the water source will communicate back in some way or another. And so this happened for me in water body after water body over these 30 days. And when I came back, I was clear that I was meant to start doing water ceremonies. And that's how I began my journey that's continued to this day.
Wow, that's quite a journey. That's lovely to hear. And I hear so much in that, and just how you interwoven many of the principles that we touch on through the Mind Under Guru program. And one of them is about getting clear on our purpose, and how when we're aligned with our values, how our purpose really reveals itself. Mm-hmm. And as a friend who's followed your path and your career for now over a decade, it's been fascinating to watch how true you've remained to what you've seen as your purpose, as it has evolved over time. And for that takes a lot of trust. I imagine there was many moments where it was like, you're mentioning the U-turn where we double back and I guess we're going back to the water, but those moments of, do I turn left? Do I turn right? What is my next step? Where do I go? Can you share with our audience a bit more about how you've been able to attune to your truth within and know, how to tune into that guidance? What does that look like for you?
It's really just a matter of attention. So I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to what it is that excites me. What all of a sudden am I smiling about or grinning about, and it's a quickening. It happens very fast. It's actually very obvious, right? So I'm paying attention to the sensations that are happening in my physical body. I pay attention to how I feel. I notice when I'm in a conversation or about a particular topic or subject, and I notice if my energy is starting to tank, it's starting to go down, right? Or whether I'm losing interest and I'm disengaging, something about the other person or about the topic. It's just simply, for me, there's nothing there for me that connects to my purpose. So and one thing that I think is important to say that occurred to me when you mentioned about my purpose, it's a singular sentence, my purpose, that sounds as if it's just me by myself. But one of the reasons why it's been so easy for me to stay aligned with my purpose is that there's a point at the end of that summer in 2012 when I bonded in consciousness with Fraser River. And I am bonded in consciousness with water as a being. So I am not alone trying to achieve a purpose on this earth. I am in glorious partnership with one of the most ancient elementals that created our earth, right? And who flows through the rivers and creeks and lakes that are all through my life. So I'm in partnership, and that's what's made it so easy. I'm learning from water, and I can only hope that it's excited or happy by my interest in it, right? I don't have any pretense about it needing me, but it's been easy because this is an evolving, ongoing relationship that is personal and has also a planetary purpose. So together, my purpose is being realized.
That's beautiful. I think you're leaving lots of hints there for people at home if they're looking to uncover what their purpose is. Our purpose is always connected to a greater we. Our purpose isn't about I, it's about we and how we can serve the collective. And the energy richness, how energy lifts up when we're on track, when we're excited with the conversations. We're drawn to meet with different people or to go to different places. We just feel that energy richness call us forward. This is lovely. And that purpose really is ongoing, isn't it? It's like, sometimes people feel it's like if I can figure it out and get my finger on it and finally solve it, but it more emerges, it changes and grows as time goes on.
Yeah, there's two things I'd like to respond to. One, so remind me, I want to come back to that, the purpose evolving, but I also wanted to just expand the I am in my purpose. So I think what that serving I is the same as serving we. That coming out of that, any idea of separation between myself and my outside world, falling from the tree, you, here, others in cyberspace, we are all connected and we really are all one. And so in serving myself, I am serving my world. In serving my world, I am serving myself. And so we are always in the middle of the center, and we are also the dissolution of the perimeter. It's that funny paradox, right? Of the empty and the full, the everything and the nothing. And I think that, it all exists simultaneously when we relax into it.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. Well said. As within, so without. As we work within, we're also working outside of ourselves as well. One of the topics we look at in the minor group program is hydration and taking care of our water on the inside. And I always knew when I wrote that chapter that this chapter was also looking at the outside and how we take care of the water on the outside. And I had some teachers along the way. Dr. Hiramoto was one of those, the molecules of emotion. I think he's a wonderful teacher in looking at how we can influence water and how water influences us as well. And as we were having our conversation and prep for tonight, I was like, this is so aligned how you've brought the two and you've really married them together. It was exactly what I'd intended for with this chapter. So let's touch a little bit about water and its influence within us and perhaps some of the practices that we can do to say thank you and gratitude to the water in our lives.
Funny, it's actually an aspect of my own life I pay very little attention to. meaning like everything I do is guided by my guidance. So there's definitely times of the year my consumption of water is more related to seasons, right? I consume more at different times than others. I consume less in the winter than I do in the summer. I've never really questioned that or researched it, so I'm sure someone more well-versed in biology and would know maybe what that means. Certainly taking care of the waters within. In my work, my water gratitude work, I have a workshop, a water workshop, and part of what water as an element relates to is our emotional field and our feelings. And certainly when I first began interacting with water, I would collect water in a mason jar like this from a particular water source and interact with the water and sit with it, sleep with it even. And I started to notice that even being in that kind of close proximity helped feelings that I needed to flow, etc. So I'm really I'm really a big fan of being in close proximity with water for helping us flow our emotions and to take care of those waters within.
Excellent. Yeah, you just brought something to mind for me. The moments that I've taken by a river and just sat and meditated and pondered life have been incredibly emotionally healing for me. I felt very lighter, a lot lighter afterwards. And I never connected the two quite as much as I have right now. It's wonderful.
Yes, water. There's many lessons, and I'm writing a book about the stories of my experiences with the different bodies of water, the Fraser River, Quesnel Lakes River, etc. Some rivers in China, there's so many lessons that I have learned in ways that I've changed. So one you touched on, I forgive much more easily now. I let go and I surrender, right? I listen to those times when I can't push the river, I can't make my will felt. It's time for me to just trust, right? And stop trying to do and just relax into the flow of energy. But I would have to say too, the biggest one through my partnership with water is this one about forgiveness. And letting go and let flow. And I think that's a really healthy thing for us to be. Love is an energy that is meant to be moving. And so water helps us remember. And of course, because we're 70 plus water ourselves, all of this really is second nature. I really think a lot of this is a remembering process for all of us.
Well, you've definitely taken relationship with water to a whole new level. and I think it's great. We will often put like stickers on our water or set intentions to names on rocks that we'll put in the water, things of that nature. And just so you get a perspective of this, audience members, people who are tuning in, Danielea has moved around the world to facilitate relationship with different bodies of water. This is how deeply personal her relationship with water has become. And lovely. It's brought you around the world, and it's brought you back to Nanaimo, which it's great to have you back in town. And I know you're gearing up with a fascinating new project. And so let's hear a little bit more about what you got cooking. What's going on?
Is called Body of Water, and it's being produced by the Crimson Coast Dance Society. So Holly Bright has brought a woman named Nicole Millon to Nanaimo. She's here now, and Nicole started this Body of Water project several years ago, and it's gone up in Calgary, St. John's, Whitehorse, that sort of thing. So it's here in Nanaimo, and it's 2 weeks. So the first week is our artist collaboration. So Nicole, myself, and Geneviève Johnson, who's a local dance artist. So the three of us together have chosen two water sources. One is the Millstone River in Bowen Park, and the other is Neck Point, the ocean at Neck Point. And so this first week is us interfacing with these bodies of water, exploring ourselves with movement and sound and song, ceremony and story. So we're creating frameworks, and then starting Monday, we are inviting the public in Nanaimo to come and join us. And we have morning sessions at the Millstone for 2 hours, 9:30 to 11:30. We have evening sessions at the ocean from 6 to 8 p.m. And then we have afternoon sessions, which are 2 to 4, and they will be alternating between river and ocean. And essentially, we're inviting people, if they can, to be with us every day at the same time. And we are doing walking tours up along the Millstone River, interfacing in different ways with the movement of the water, how the water inspires story and song and sound. And so this week of exploration with the community culminates in a showing on Saturday. And it starts at 3 o'clock and 3 to 4 at the Millstone River. So the audience will walk with us, and we will dance and move and sing and integrate the audience in the different stations. We stop along the way from the south parking lot to the waterfall. And then we'll all get in our cars and we'll drive to Neck Point, and we'll do a similar walking tour, only it's through Ocean Bays. And that'll be from 4:30 to 5:30, followed by a potluck. So everybody is very, very welcome. There is a registration. We're really excited by already. It's spring, and so it's a really exciting time to be with the waters and be with them together.
Absolutely. So we'll put the contact information in the comments bar below, and so
Great.
people can have a better look at that. And just so people will get an idea, what could they expect? What would be the intention or purpose of doing one of the workshops with you? What could they look at getting out of it?
They'll be understanding more about their own relationship with water in general and these particular waterways specifically, right? So the Millstone River, each of us will see it has its own character and how we move the water in our bodies. I think water is so integrated in our body, mind, spirit, physicality, and emotional life, is that we will discover just creative ways that we can interact with the water, give our gratitude to the water, and see how water brings us together and unites us.
Beautiful. Sounds like fun.
Really?
Absolutely. I'll be out for some of it. At least I won't be able to make it all, but definitely pieces of it. So for people who are tuning in and maybe they're not in the Nanaimo area and they're wanting to deepen their own relationship with water and kind of explore some of the things you're putting forward, where do they begin? What are some ideas that you've seen other people do, or perhaps yourself? What are some things? Let's explore.
So first of all, it's really just a matter of go towards wherever you're attracted. So you know how sometimes you walk in the forest and all of a sudden your attention is drawn somewhere there? I've learned to understand that there's something there that's calling you. So trust, if you feel drawn to a certain creek or body of water, follow that impulse there. And I also suggest don't worry about knowing what to do. If you just arrive with the water, the same way you would with someone you meet for tea, right? You arrive, you take turns. It's not in your head. It's really just slowing down and coming right down into your heart. You just connect with your love, and then you send that love out like a wave or a hello to the water body, and just allow the conversation with that body of water to unfold as it will. And it's different for everyone, but there's one universal response that I've heard, and that is when we send our love out to the water, and I've had this, but others have too, you might feel this rush of energy, effervescent joy come back at you. And this seems to be this joy that water has to interact. So the other practice that I always do when I go to waters is I introduce myself. I just, good morning. Good morning. My name is Danielea, and I've come here today to be with you. Thank you for flowing so beautifully. It's like you just let your heart speak to the river, and it opens up this line or channel of communication. If you're someone who likes sound, using a rattle or a drum, when you do a consistent sound, it makes like what's called a drone. And then that's a channel that you can send your awareness through to reach out to the river and again, see what comes back. So I think it's really just let your child self, your innocent self who loves, that love is the matching vibration for our nature relatives. And they will come forward and they will respond to you just through that vibrational connection.
Beautiful. Well, there's lots of opportunity there to explore and to get to know ourselves and how we can best connect with this wonderful body of love. And I guess to pull it kind of full circle, when we were talking about I and we, the practices that we're speaking of for water and bodies of water, these are universal practices that we can use for any element and any person in our lives.
Absolutely. The code that I use is the same way that the manners with my nature relatives. Greeting, I say why I've come. I say goodbye. I give thanks. I make offerings. Sometimes the offering is a poem or a song. It could be a hair out of my head. It could be some tobacco. So I like to operate within this living exchange of giving and receiving, and especially with water. Us without asking anything in return. So the watergratitudeproject.org, this is my project and the website, and it's about giving back with a grateful act. Right? It's about acknowledging that water really is giving to us every moment of every day. Technology we're using, water was used to produce everything in our life. So sometimes I say to people, saying thank you is just good manners. I say thank you when you hand me a sandwich, right? What do I say to this element that is giving just the quintessentially everything to me? So yeah, that's where they're saying thank you when you turn the tap on, when you're showering, when you pass a water source. You know, saying thank you can just be done quietly in your heart. It can be done out loud. Joy and our gratitude and creative energy with water helps it remain strong, even as we still learn how do we live in harmony with it and not burden it, with our industrial or human activities.
Beautiful. I love it, Danielea. You are walking your talk. You are blessing the planet and inspiring others to do this as well. Hey, people, if you've been enjoying tonight's conversation, this is an important one as much as it is for, my inner guru and the My State. This is also really important for Maya and Gaia and our collective here tonight. So if you feel like sharing this message on your wall, I think it would be a really good time to do that. This is an opportunity to pass forward some intention to your friends and family. There's some of that on Facebook. I'd like there to be more, and this is one of those opportunities. So you can just hit share. If you're liking the comments or liking the conversation, you can hit like. And we've got a couple of comments here. We're going to just tap into our community here. Karen jumps in, and Karen's been a long time supporter of the My Inner Guru Project. She's on most of the calls, which is awesome. She says, I feel most connected to sitting on a rock by the ocean. Is this the same?
Is this the same as?
That's the question, as what you're offering.
It sounds like it. It's whatever it is that connected to water. Is that what you mean while you're sitting on the rock at the ocean?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I would just encourage you that you might even go farther with that in terms of
great idea. That's great. Okay. And so let's see if we've got any other comments. Oh, we do have another lady here. Carol wanted to say hi. Yeah. So Carol says, so lovely to see you, Danielea, and hear your beautiful words.
Thank you. Hi, Carol. Nice to hear from you.
That's great. And so, Danielea, you have a website. You have a newly released CD as well.
I do.
And so how do people get in contact with you? And I understand they can hear the CD even a few times. So.
Absolutely. So I'm very happy to say that I released this CD in February of 2017. All the songs on it, 7 of the 9 songs come from ceremonies with different bodies of water. And so the song embodied the team who helped arrange them and help me record them at her studio. So you can get this, you can listen to the tracks at danieleacastell.bandcamp. innate.com. So you can also order the CD there, although I have some here. Where you can get a hold of me and hear more about my water work is at watergratitudeproject.org. So that's the website. And also, I really hope to see you this coming week at the Body of Water Project so that we can together explore these beautiful sources that are here that you live with each day.
Love it. Absolutely. It's going to be a great week coming up. And thank you to Crimson Coast Dance Society and Holly Bright for doing this great work and getting Danielea out here and all the people who've supported the projects over the years. You know, Crimson Coast Dance Society it's been just this major stakeholder in the city of Nanaimo for the arts and culture community. And, you know, from a health and wellness perspective, you know, I don't think we give enough credence to the arts and how much they influence our well-being. Our connection to others, of course, is so connected to our emotional states and towards our vitality. I just spoke this last week about how the provinces are seeing more and more how the social initiatives and having people feel involved and connected in community, how much that's saving them in the long term in regards to health expenses down the road. So the more we're connected to community, being involved in great projects like this, it just helps us all function so much better, including our planet. So excellent. Well, Danielea, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know you've got a super, super busy schedule here. You know, you're a woman of the world now. This is exciting for you. And thank you for taking time and stopping out in Nanaimo and for hosting this wonderful event. I look forward to participating in it. I hope those who are tuning in can come out and join us. And if you're outside of the Nanaimo area, get in touch with Danielea through her website, listen to some of her tracks, and who knows how your paths may cross. Any final words as we kind of tie things up, Danielea?
Just really inviting people, follow your love for water. Let your love lead you in anything that you're doing. Let your love lead you to the river or to the ocean. And yes, you will always be guided truly and in harmony. Beautiful.
Okay, well, those are awesome words to finish with. And on the way out, Danielea, the innate in me blesses the innate in you. It's fun
Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Namaste.
And everybody else out there, this is a message to remind you to attune to the wisdom within. All right? We are all our own gurus. And I bless the path that you're walking. Okay, everybody, have a great week. Be well.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.